Hello and welcome to the latest Royal Roundup from TalkTV. So, pop the kettle on. This is the Royal Tea. I'm Sarah Hewson. Coming up today, we discuss the Princess of Wales returning to her ancestral roots. Plus, find out why Harry and Meghan are reportedly in a disagreement over their living situation. Joining me to discuss all of that and lots more are the Sun's royal photographer Arthur Edwards and the royal editor at the Evening Standard, Robert Jobson. Hello to both of you.
Hi, sir. Hello.
Now, the Princess of Wales carried out very personal engagements on Tuesday as she visited textile manufacturers in Leeds and Lancaster. Her first port of call was to the textile mill A.W. Hainsworth, which was previously owned by her ancestors. Now, you were up in Lancaster for this visit. Tell us about the first part, though, Rob, in Pudsey in West Yorkshire, to a mill previously owned by her great-grandfather.
Yeah, and going back further than that, I mean, it was the Lupton family that owned the mill, and obviously when they sold it to the current owners, there was quite a lot of money involved, and so that's probably set them up, really, the Middleton family. But, yeah, she was really into the whole visit because a lot of it was focused on the first bit, really, to find out about the uniforms that were made there, including William's uniform that was made for the wedding and other things. But
Louis' coronation outfit, yes.
So all of that was great. But when she came to Lancaster and I was on that particular job, they were at pains to explain how all the process went, and she was fascinated how the process, you know, a lot of it was handcrafted and done with the art, which of course is something she's very, very close to. She did A-level art at school and she did art history at the university. And she was keen to see the whole process from the very beginning, for getting the printing started, to actually being on the factory floor. And she went around the factory floor and the whole team turned out. And there was a lovely point at the very end when she met a little girl who, Emily May Cato was her name, and she was the granddaughter of a guy that had worked there for over 50 years. And it was a lovely touching scene, and she was talking about, you know, Charlotte loving dance, loving tap and ballet, but she was very natural, I think, with everyone there. And there were a lot of people very pleased with the way that the visit went.
I mean, we are seeing a lot of solo engagements from Kate at the moment, Arthur. She's very prominent in the activities that she's doing.
She's the big star of the royal family at the moment. Everything she does is hugely reported. Every magazine and every paper, our paper, we run it every time, and it's her style as well. You know, really sort of, she wears beautiful clothes, and she's original in what in the way she presents herself. I think she's become a superstar, and not just.
She wasn't always comfortable in that role, was she? But we're seeing her much more at ease. Yeah. Particularly, there was an engagement this week, Arthur, when she was with children with special educational needs, and she visited a voltage
fantastic? I mean, those pictures today, I mean, I'd have loved to have taken those. I mean, she was so animated with the children. She made a sort of scary sign, one kid, and then she was thumbs up to another. You know, I mean, it's really, really good stuff. But, you know, I mean, as a photographer, if you've got a job with a number of the other members of the royal family, and Catherine's doing something that day, you're really up against it. To get your pictures published, because she just dominates the space. She's such a superstar. She looks $1 million. She's always reinvented herself, new hairstyles, and her clothes are sensational. So, but more important than that, it's the work she's doing. You know, she's really doing interesting work with these young people, mental illness, and like going to that factory. You know, that's such a thing. I mean, they will never forget that, those workers up there. They'll never forget the day that they spoke to the Princess of Wales.
She was really well informed as well. I mean, I think that's what the people are saying, that she reads into these things very deeply. Not only like the early years stuff, of course she's on top of that, but she knew exactly what was going on in that factory. She was very well prepared.
It struck me about that visit, actually, that would have been one that her father-in-law, the King, would have loved to do because of the manufacturing, the kind of heritage crafts that she was seeing.
It's true, but also the thing they were learning was how, you know, there was a lot of in history, you know, the textiles uses up a lot of energy, etc. But she was being shown how economical and sustainable the industry has become because of the new machinery, and she was asking questions about reusing materials. And there was one company from Hackney, actually, how they were showing how they could reuse materials and not have so much waste. And that's something she was really pushing.
And actually, one of the Earthshot finalists that were announced in New York last week was doing exactly that, in trying to make the textile industry more sustainable using
I think some
plants
of the money
for dye, etc.
Yeah, I think some of the money from the foundation is going towards that.
Also, the King would have been pleased to go there because he's got over 90 uniforms, and probably most of them were made there.
Yes.
So he would have probably gone back to the see where
get them
restitched. Where they were stitched, yeah.
Let's talk about another star of the royal family, shall we? Princess Anne, because the Deputy First Minister of Scotland, Shona Robinson, has been accused of disrespecting the royal family after she showed up for an event with Princess Anne 40 minutes late. Humza Yousaf's second-in-command attended the royal opening of Aberdeen's South Harbour on behalf of the Scottish Government, but angered many of the 350 guests by keeping them waiting. Arthur, Princess Anne is a very punctual lady and a very efficient lady. How do you think she'd have felt? Would she have seen this as disrespectful, or
probably would have told him as well? She would have mentioned it. I mean, she's not slow in coming forward like that. She would have probably given her a piece of her mind. And also, this is the first time ever, and I've done thousands and thousands of engagements where the person like that, you know, the Lord Lieutenant have turned up late. I've never known it before. It's an absolute shock. Now,
the SNP is saying she was tied up on urgent government business.
Yeah, well, you know, she knew Anne was coming, and she should have made sure that her diary was clear. I mean, these royal visits are very important to the community where they go, and they should be there to sort of welcome them. I mean, look, it's once we're never going to, you know, she's never going to go back there probably, and it was her one time to actually do her job properly, and she turned up late. It's not on really.
But they don't like. Also, you're keeping loads of other people waiting. Probably, you know, the princess would say something because they don't like to keep other people waiting. And also, the other thing is that they've got a schedule to stick to, and if you're late, someone's late at something else, it makes everything else.
Princess Anne would have told her. I can tell you that. Yeah. She would have not come, and she would have said that's not a good excuse. I can tell you that she wouldn't.
But it isn't a very good
be slow
excuse.
Coming forward. She's pretty feisty like that. I can tell you that from personal experience.
Newly released emails have unveiled the extraordinary lengths that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's team went to pull off the couple's high-profile visit to New York City in 2021. For one of the stops in their three-day tour, representatives for Harry and Meghan raised the idea of bringing cushions and a new carpet to a public school in one of New York's lowest-income areas to better fit with Meghan's aesthetic, apparently. This has caused something of a stir. These emails were released under a Freedom of Information request, and you can see just how much back and forward there was. I mean, we're talking about how much preparation goes into an engagement, and we can see just how much dialogue there was about this particular one, a visit to a school in Harlem.
No, it seems a bit silly, but I mean, I'm not sure whether, you can't be sure whether it's Meghan and Harry laying down the law or whether it's some overzealous PR.
Toya Holness, who was working for Archwell.
She should have known better, really, because this sort of thing could come out quite easily, and it has, and it just makes your people look bad, given where they were and what they were there to represent. Surely they didn't need puffy cushions.
And release forms for the young people to say they couldn't say anything negative?
Couldn't say anything on social media, anything negative about the visit.
Well, that's ridiculous.
No, that is ridiculous. That sounds like a PR. That is such a PR thing, especially a New York PR. I mean,
we've dealt with Harry. I don't think Harry
not with that. Certainly with children, he wouldn't even think like that. I mean, he's just, when he's with a kid, he becomes a kid, Harry. He almost gets down with them, and he's.
I think it's probably more.
This is the behind the scenes.
I think it's
put this in place. They're not going to be a cross.
But these things always come out, don't they, with showbiz stars and everything. They make them look ridiculous.
Yeah, all the riders,
so
etc. The other thing that stood out for me was they were trying to work on the press release, and that was rewritten multiple times to make this reading of Meghan's book, The Bench, not appear to be too promotion-y, and they wanted to look more like a community support event. And of course, if it sounds familiar, it's because it was part of their Netflix documentary filming.
Yeah. Oh, right, OK, yeah. Well, maybe it was more to do with the aesthetic of the documentary.
Maybe it's more to do with Netflix as well. But the thing is about when you go to a school with the children, I mean, just it's sensational for those kids. You know, it's they see them on the TV, and for them it's a once in a lifetime moment. So Harry knows that.
And it should be left natural. And there was that great one when William was at a school the other day, and they were queuing up. He said, "I'm waiting to see the royal or something." And he goes, "Well, who are you?" He said, "Well, you know, have you seen Prince William?" He goes, "Oh, who do you think I am?" He says, "I think you're with the government."
Well, let me tell you one. When the Queen went to a school near Perth, and a little boy there had only just joined the school that week and missed all the preparation. When the Queen walked to the room, he said, "Who are you?" Yeah. She said, "I'm the Queen." "Oh, are you?" He said,
but they genuinely, half the time, they don't even know.
Kids surprise you.
Meanwhile, Meghan's Suits co-star has shared a number of unseen photos from their time together on set, sparking rumours of a new season. Patrick J. Adams, who starred as Meghan's on-screen lover, posted a number of behind-the-scenes shots and added the tagline, "I miss my friends." I mean, they were a nice insight into Meghan's former life, playing Rachel Zane on Suits. I don't know whether you were an avid fan. I liked it.
I did, yeah.
Could we ever see her return to acting, or has that been absolutely ruled out, do you think?
Well, it sounds like he's making a pitch for it, doesn't he? I don't know if he's had much work lately, but yeah, look, I think that she would probably love to return to acting because, you know, it's what she did, it's what she does. And,
she's not doing much else, Robert. I mean, you know, if you think about it.
It's not doing a lot else.
They're doing an awful lot.
Well, they're doing their charity stuff and they're doing their foundation.
You could do that and still work as well. I mean,
do you think that she would think that the acting was done and actually she's bigger than that now as a philanthropist and to want to campaign for women and young girls,
you can be a philanthropist and a great actress. I mean, we've seen some of the great, you know, you've got more chance to, you know, if your profile's up, your philanthropy would be better. I don't see there's anything to stop her going back to acting, and maybe...
Well, we learned actually, didn't we, that even at the time of the beginning of her relationship, the late Queen had said to her she didn't have to give it up if she wanted to carry on with her career.
Well, that was even when she was... I mean, I think she's now, and there's nothing to stop her at all.
No.
As Harry said when he was pitching to the head of Disney, you know, that, you know, she's available for voiceover work.
I wonder if she'll do all them sexy scenes that she did in Suits when she starts again. I think it'd be interesting to see the public's take on it if she did appear in anything. It'd be interesting to see the results.
Meanwhile, Prince Harry has reportedly been asked to give Buckingham Palace advance notice if he wishes to stay at a royal residence. Harry was denied permission to stay at Windsor Castle when he travelled back to London for a charity event earlier this month. He was invited to Balmoral, Rob, to go and see his father, but the timings didn't work out. He was in London, his father in Scotland.
Yeah, I think it's all apparently. I mean, there's no way he was going to stay in Scotland if he was doing a job in London. And, you know, personally, I would have thought that someone could have just sort of nodded it through and let him stay at Windsor Castle.
Well, isn't everything under wraps? Have they got the dust sheets out?
I'm sure there's somewhere,
you know,
somewhere.
Mothballed for the summer season.
If they wanted to, I'm sure they could have put him up somewhere. There's enough royal residences.
There's a bigger question here, though, isn't there? It's not just about this last visit. It's actually about Harry's role as a Councillor of State. And as such, he is meant to have a base in the UK. Do you think there can be a way found that he has that, with suggestions that he wants to come back to London more and maybe Meghan doesn't want to?
Well, he had a nice cottage at Kensington Palace, but Meghan thought it was too small. They got a big house at Windsor, which cost the taxpayer millions to sort of refurbish.
They paid that back, though.
Well, that's true, but you know, but they did it for them so that they could be comfortable. That wasn't good enough for them, and they moved on. And so, you know, what else do they need? You know, do they need every time to come back to lay on something special for them? I mean, the King offered them to come to Balmoral. Obviously, as Robert said, they couldn't because of his programme. But you know, and look, what's wrong with staying in a nice hotel anyway?
Well, he stayed in hotels. When I went with him to Invictus down in Sydney on the Pre. He was staying in a hotel there. But I think with the Council of State business, I think that it's a lot more problematical for the King to take away the Council of State from him and Andrew and just leave it as is. William and the King will not be abroad or out of the country at different times. I don't think. So I don't think it's going to happen.
And Edward, and you know, before they
I'm going to have to draw us to a close. I'm sorry, gentlemen. We are running out of time. Thank you very much to Arthur and Robert for joining us on this week's episode. And if you want to join in the debate, please leave a comment and make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss a single episode. We're going to be back next week with all of the latest on the royal family. We hope you can join us, and we will see you then.